I am Arthur Frayne, and I am Zardoz. I have lived 300 years, and I long to die, but death is no longer possible. I am immortal. I present now my story, full of mystery and intrigue, rich in irony, and most satirical. It is set deep in a possible future, so none of these events have yet occurred, but they may. Be warned, lest you end as I. In this tale, I am a fake god by occupation and a magician by inclination. Merlin is my hero. I am the puppet master. I manipulate many of the characters and events you will see, but I'm invented too for your entertainment and amusement. And you, poor creatures, who conjured you out of the clay?
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Is God in show business too?
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Derryl DePriest.
And I'm Jim Bush.
Full house, everybody. And Todd almost said "and." I saw it on your face.
I know. Yeah.
I saw it was a split second.
Okay,
We like
Dave,
having
you know what I
guests,
almost said?
but it does mess us up.
Honestly, what I almost said was Wonder Woman is coming out at Christmas. That's what I almost said. Okay, I'm sorry. It's like, I've been sitting here for 15 minutes wanting to say it.
I was just so excited. Well, it was always coming out at Christmas, Todd, but now you'll actually be able to see it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
In the comfort of your own home without the risk of
less than a minute. So
yes,
we have a full house for a very special episode. Derryl and Jim are friends. They probably are no longer friends after what we've asked them to do, but more on that later. We have
I'm just hoping that maybe after tonight, Derryl will be able to say Willow is no longer the worst movie ever made, but we'll see how it goes.
More on that later. We have another edition of Disaster Piece Theater. That's all I'm going to say for now. Oh, you read the description, so you'll see. But if those,
well, not only that, the intro, Dave, it's all over the intro.
Okay.
I did a special intro for this show.
Okay, I didn't even know. I haven't heard it yet. The movie, the 1974 classic
Disaster Piece,
Zardoz.
We're doing this as a tribute to Sean Connery, people. Okay.
After this, we're going to fly to Scotland and piss on his grave.
No,
if this is a tribute,
we might as well be.
As I said in the description, it doesn't demonstrate any sort of commitment to watch Goldfinger or rewatch The Rock. But when you sit down for 102 minutes of Zardoz,
I'd like to say he did this one for the huge paycheck, for the massive money. But this whole film cost $1 million.
Don't.
All right, more. There's
more on that soon.
All right, more on that. Yes.
We're all over the place right now. Let's do random so we can get.
Do random. So
get it out of the way.
It's so funny because I didn't even know about this, but I'm hearing it firsthand right here. Todd, do you have random?
I do have random. So there's a documentary being made on the Star Wars holiday special called "The Disturbance in the Force," and if you go online, there's a really good trailer for it so far. Apparently, there's 15 hours of audio interviews with people who were involved with the production of it.
I think you're making this up. Is that real?
No, this is totally true.
I've heard about it.
Yep. And I watched the trailer. It looks really good. There's about 3 minutes worth, and I hope they don't get sued enough that they can't finish it. But the directors are Jeremy Kuhn and Steve Kozak, and it looks really, like I said, looks really interesting. They've got clips from Robot Chicken. They've got various interviews on talk shows over the years with with people involved in it either denying that it exists or saying they just don't understand, why it exists, including Carrie Fisher and so on and so forth. But it looks like it could be really good. I would love for Disney to get behind this and just own it, but I don't think that's that likely. So,
yeah, as much as we've always said, just release it, whatever. I almost enjoy the fact that it'll never be officially released, and if you want to watch it, you have to watch it in poor quality.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So, but I'm sorry, this thing is being made or it's coming out soon?
It's in production right now. It's called The Disturbance in the Force: How the Star Wars Holiday Special Happened. And
well, we listened to that thing with the cameraman, right?
Yeah.
So podcast. I don't remember the name of the podcast.
Yep.
You were there too, or I was there too, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. I was there too.
Apparently, a number of the people that are interviewed are no longer with us, and so, like I said, it sounds like a really interesting undertaking and timely as we're almost at Life Day. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Barry, what do you got?
Well, I thought you were going to jump in.
I know
since
that.
We already spilled the beans before, but yeah, all right. So word's out there, and by the time this podcast drops, everybody should know. Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be simultaneous released in theaters where available and on HBO Max. So if you have an HBO Max subscription, on Christmas Day, you will be able to watch Wonder Woman 1984.
That's crazy.
At no additional cost. It's not like what Disney did with Mulan, where they charge you $30 for it. This is, if you have HBO Max, you get to watch Wonder Woman.
That's crazy. I mean, they're throwing a lot of money away, and I get it. It's not a.
They're not making anything, letting it sit on the shelf for another 6 months.
But how do they make anything on this platform?
Well, if they were smart, they'd use it like Disney did when they launched Disney Plus, and use this to drive like a great membership deal, just to get tons of people on board.
And I think that's
there's
what
an
they're going to hope
advertising
for.
campaign for this coming up.
Whether it works or not is yet to be seen. But I'm imagining that's what they're hoping for and expecting.
But the thing with HBO Max is most of it, if you subscribe to HBO, you get it for free. That's their thing. And we've talked about this on the show. They have the potential of 25 million or so HBO people who are able to get it, but not everyone has activated. Yeah. So they keep pushing that. And, again.
Well, and maybe this is their way of getting people to activate because,
Exactly. And they've been doing campaigns to do that. So that's interesting. Well, that's the only one they've announced. Is that the only thing in the can?
That's all. I believe, and I'll be honest, I saw the headline. I didn't read the full article. I think that may be all they've announced, but I wouldn't be surprised if, this is a bigger move. I mean,
if we see more,
It's in the trades, and I'm sure Dave, there were major shakeup over in Warner Media within the last few weeks, and a lot of people were let go.
Yes.
They're really reorienting their business, just like Disney did a month or so ago around, streaming. I don't know that these companies have a choice, quite honestly. And
there is a thing that's happening to a bunch of studios now where these pushback release dates, they are actually paying people involved on projected back end based on the release dates being blown, where they're on the hook for this, and they basically got to prove they're not going to make this money because they have to pay the money anyways. They have to start paying the money or escrowing them. It's a mess. Nobody ever anticipated films being, this pushed back this far, and it's going to people are going to rethink how contracts are written.
That's a factor. And then I also think, they are still planning and putting into either production or pre-production other movies. And maybe not so much in the case of DC, but certainly in the case of Marvel, like they had a whole plan. And the fact that they can't get Black Widow out really, and then the other movies that are in line behind it. I mean, they can't just release these things out of sequence anymore. Their whole roadmap is being blown.
I would think we know a Marvel has to, there's, everything's getting backed up, but, Wonder Woman's not really holding anything back. What's it holding back? Freaking Zack Snyder's piece of shit?
I don't think that's holding anything back. And the Snyder thing, I mean, that's HBO Max anyway. Actually, on that topic, they released a new old trailer again this week in black and white with like a couple of extra shots in it. But they did say that there's only going to be 5 minutes of new material. The rest of it is stuff that had been previously shot. Not to say
how is that possible, Barry? Because they've talked about 700 additional scenes. It's like,
but there's stuff that was shot already. Just
that's
not in the movie.
when you count finishing and redoing special effects.
No, I know. I'm just saying this movie is 95% hype right now. So
right, but it's five brand new minutes of material, and then the rest of that money they're spending is all on redoing special effects and making it better.
That's just you go into a well, and they're you go into a well that's probably fairly dry, but you're not making any money off of this anyway if you're throwing it on HBO Max.
No, but they're banking.
So just
on HBO Max.
So the audience is clear. What movie are you talking about, Barry? You guys talking
about? The Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League,
which is HBO Max anyways. So that's what it was supposed
which
to be.
They're taking a movie that was the 2.5-hour movie and they're blowing it into a 4-hour, 4-episode series using footage. Apparently, tons of footage was shot that they didn't use. So
it was supposed to be 2 films. They condensed it to 1, and
got it.
Yeah, and then filled in the missing pieces. But I think one of the other stories involved in this thing is this is pretty much. I mean, this with the Wonder Woman thing is these are the movies that like small independent theaters and stuff like this need to make their money on.
Yeah,
and that's just not going to happen. I mean, it's like if this starts a cascade of these things, I think Disney proved with Mulan you couldn't do the paywall thing. You couldn't get people to pay to do that kind of thing. If it's just going to go to the premium, the premium streaming services, it's going to be hard to get people back into theaters.
See, and I believe that when it's safe, people will go back because going out to the movies is a thing to do,
especially now. And I agree.
Is it
going to want to do
because theater attendance numbers have gone down consistently over the years, and all the money is shifted to blockbusters, and you can't run theaters just on the blockbusters.
Yeah, so that's true. I think it's an outing for people. Yeah. It may turn into bigger outing as people look to do something. I mean, the virus is getting worse in the winter, as our pal Dr. Fauci said it would.
Yeah.
And, there's no light close in the tunnel. There is light at the end of the tunnel, whenever that may be, with the vaccines and stuff coming out. So
in 5 weeks, it's going to be very dark. It's not going to.
It is going to be very dark. And we're looking at sometime around summer.
Yeah,
some sort of window into what normalcy look like again. But that also depends on the percentage of people that are willing to accept and take a vaccine. And so
we'll see.
We shall see, but that's a long stretch.
No, I mean, in terms of a movie, at least a Warner Brothers, I mean, they're like, all right, we'll throw 2 movies out, and then hopefully in a year we're back on track. So it's not like we're giving up our business. I mean, let's just say,
and I think that there are some people that maybe won't go back to movie theaters just because they've given up. But if you were a type of person that enjoyed going to a theater and getting out and having that experience, I don't see why you wouldn't go back to it a year from now.
I mean, I bought myself a 65-inch TV during this thing, but there are still movies I'd much rather see on a huge screen.
So, but you say that, Jim. Do you think that's a part? And I wonder what you guys think. You think that's a part of it? Is that people's in-home viewing experience has eaten into that desire to go to the theater and sit on a seat that someone else sat on a few minutes before, and maybe left sticky? And I mean, I don't know.
I think if you were inclined before this, I think you'll be inclined after this. I don't.
Your TV is bigger than 3 of the screens at my local theater. Okay.
Well, but Todd, and I've said this a million times on the show and off the show. When I would take my family to a movie like this, it was a $100 outing. I would rather pay $50 and watch it at home, but I still would go to the movies just because I enjoy going out.
But I do think that
I've got a 75-inch TV. I'd rather watch it on a 150-inch screen.
Yeah.
Or whatever the movie theater screen is.
I do think that thing is, I mean, you go to some theaters and it's half an hour of commercials. It's horrible. It's a bad experience. Then again, there are the Alamos and things like that that are.
That's what I'm wondering is whether this becomes more niche. then
I think we'll get back to theaters. I think people are going to be desperate to be like, I'm fine. My feet are sticking to the floor. I've got, popcorn that's stale. This is exciting for me. I think that's where we're getting to.
Do you guys remember where you saw specific movies? Do you have does that
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
See, and that's the thing. And I'm the same way. I don't remember what I watched in my living room. Okay. But I do remember, really significant films, going to see them.
You're going to remember watching Wonder Woman 1984 in your living room.
What's that? I probably will.
You're going to remember watching Wonder Woman 84.
I will probably remember it the day after Christmas, yes. But if I can remember what month that is. But, yeah. Again,
Anyway.
like I said, it's an experiential
Jim,
thing.
what were you going to say?
Oh, what was I going to say? The theater I go to is an AMC with the food and the drinks and a nice experience. It's what I want out of a movie night out.
Yeah.
I don't
you got to search those out.
And I've said before, the theater that I go to is my multiplex has a couple of theaters that are designated as the X Plus theater. It's got the best sound, it's got the best screen, it's got the most comfortable seats. And I joked with you guys that's where I want my ashes spread. When I first experienced that theater.
Well, that's the thing. I think this may, for
I
those
won't
that
go to a crappy
survive,
theater when this is over, but I will go back to a great theater.
Yeah.
This is going to cause people up their game a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be those experiential things.
Okay, what did I had some random that seems insignificant. Here's a question: have you guys seen the Die Hard battery commercial?
I've heard about them, but I haven't seen it.
I have seen it. So Bruce Willis is doing a Die Hard battery commercial as John McClane from Die Hard, and I'm like, really?
Who bought Die Hard? Somebody bought that from Sears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bought the trademark.
So the batteries, AutoZone or something.
AutoZone, okay.
So it's him. He's changed his battery. The dude who drove his limo, the young kid who's now a fat old man, is driving the limo again. And then the guy who was sort of the hacker genius on the bad guy side is in it. I don't know. It's just, Bruce, what are you doing? That's all. So go watch it on YouTube.
What Bruce is doing is cashing a big check. That's what
he
Bruce
has
is doing.
plenty of big checks.
It's interesting. We talked about this before, but how many commercials they've tapped into the nostalgia for?
Yeah.
And because it's the only culture we have.
How much money you have if you're a celebrity, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You always want more.
Yeah.
Speaking of commercials, have you seen Taika Waititi's Christmas Coca-Cola commercial?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
It is something. I won't spoil it for you.
Is IG-88 in it?
No. It's just
Hitler in it.
It's Hitler in it.
But you walk away saying, okay, that was something.
Well, Bruce Willis has $200 million. Does he really need this?
No.
Anyway.
He needs something to put him back on people's radar.
Exactly.
Doing.
Yeah,
gets on a screen this way.
He's been in a couple of direct to. Well, now everything's direct to VOD movies. But
I've got
any other random.
I have one other.
Go ahead.
So last week I was hearing rumors that a Boba Fett Disney Plus show was like literally going into production within days.
You read these freaking comic book rant.
Hang on,
websites.
I don't know. No, take it back. I listened to a fairly reputable Star Wars podcast, and the host of that show said he has it on authority from somebody involved in the production that it is in fact true. So there may be a Boba Fett show. Now, as we speak, we've only seen Boba Fett show up once in The Mandalorian at the end of the first episode. What if he doesn't show back up and he doesn't return?
Think he's showing back up
until this series.
Do we know that's Boba Fett?
Do we know it? Yeah, exactly, Jim. Do we know it, Barry?
We all believe it.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
It should be. But the other thing is, why would they do so? When are they going to set this thing?
They'll do this.
And why would they have revealed him like that if it's going to be set further back in time? Or
I believe that he will show up again.
Is this the story of another old dude rambling around on Tatooine? Because We're getting that.
No, I believe that we are going to see him again in this season, and whatever happens there is going to set up its own probably 8 episodes.
So that's
God, I
why
hope
the
not.
armor hasn't been cashed in yet. He's going to get it back, and
He's coming for the armor. But
You
the
can make
Boba Fett I
another
know.
Mandalorian show when you have a show that's the Mandalorian.
I know
don't
that's
think
what I'm
Favreau
saying,
would let
and
that happen.
it doesn't make sense to me. And
I
also,
don't think it's going to be the Mandalorian. But think about it. The Mandalorian that we have is on a quest to take a baby Jedi back somewhere. It's not. It could be very
It's
different.
not some
and still be good.
fucking whatever. Sorry, some silly sissy ass bitch.
Maybe it's going to be 8 episodes of him escaping from the Sarlacc pit.
it's not a
8
scarred up
episodes
old
of
dude that every
digestive
time
problems.
someone mentions Sarlacc, he goes.
If it's 8 episodes of him being digested in the Sarlacc pit, I'll watch that. That I'll watch.
No, I'll tell you. You know what this is good? This is backdooring into, because again, they're trying a different theme. Mandalorian was like a Western thing. Okay, the Obi-Wan series is going to be a lot more like The Odd Couple. Okay.
Oh,
It's
that's
gonna be-
great. That's
it's gonna be-
awesome.
Boba Fett and him living together on
Well, didn't one of you say that we
That's
think
not
Boba
there
Fett's
yet.
been living in Obi-Wan's hut? One
that's
of you
what,
said
that's
that.
what I said. It's
Yeah.
going to be the two of them living together, and it's like, and then finally Boba Fett is just gonna like have the place to himself when Obi-Wan goes off with the kid, and then he gets bored and he does Empire. But this is their the two of them together.
Well,
You
let's
know
hope
who
not.
doesn't absolutely suck and you really hope that doesn't happen? Fanboy Collectibles. You want them to happen because they're awesome. And
They
it's
are.
the
I
holidays,
was-
people. Life Day, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever else you celebrate.
Festivus.
Yeah.
We should be supporting small businesses. Fanboy is a small business. And
Well, let's
let's
face
I
it,
was
who
supporting
wants
them
to actually
just
go to
today.
a store right now anyway?
Exactly.
Nobody wants to go to a store.
all kinds of stuff are out there. Hot Toys Miles Morales coming, Spider-Man fans. There's a nice tweeter head 1/4 scale Catwoman for you, Michelle Pfeiffer, Todd. But Sideshow and Kotobuki is in Pops and all that stuff you need. Do your holiday shopping. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. FanboyCollectibles.com. You can go to their store. Wear a mask. Don't be a freaking jerk. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. Newtown, Connecticut is where their store is. Wear a
Yes.
mask. Okay. We're doing Disaster Piece Theater.
Yes, we are.
First, let me apologize to our good friends, Jim and Derryl. Here's the funniest
Hey,
thing.
nobody forced them to do this.
Barry said, hey, we should do this movie. And then we go back and forth on when we're going to schedule doing this. And he texted me, it's like, I just saw the trailer. I don't know if I can watch this.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
So, and
I
you know,
don't. Well, am I the only one that had never seen this before?
I
I
had
don't
not seen
think
it.
I actually saw it.
I had never seen
I
it.
did.
I saw it a long time ago.
Me, same here. I saw it a very long time ago. I think I might have seen this as like the second film at a drive-in when I was much younger, and my parents like left during it or something.
I may have seen. I honestly, and I may have this confused with Highlander 2, no joke, which is equally as bad, or probably not as bad.
I do not think that's fair to Highlander 2.
I don't think that's
And
fair either.
I didn't even know this movie existed until it got brought up when we were starting to talk about those bad movies I had been watching.
Yeah,
When we did the first Disaster Piece, somebody brought this up, and I never even knew it existed.
but
so-
I will officially say this, and I know you called Derryl out. This is worse than Willow.
yes,
This was worse than Willow. This is number one. Willow's number 2 at this point in time. But
For you, Dave.
okay.
I will say.
Okay, but step it up. Okay.
I will say this. There was an unpredictability about this that made it kind of interesting to watch that Willow utterly lacked.
Yep. I agree with that.
I
but
don't
this
agree
is-
with that
this
at
is-
all.
This is this is still worse than Willow. Oh
Yeah.
my
This
god!
is- but there was no. I would say
Carl.
Willow did follow a very. We're not going to judge this against Willow, but it did follow a very predictable track. This, I'm not sure you knew where it was going. I'm not sure you ever cared at any point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm also not sure that by the end of it you even knew where it went.
Not at all.
Right.
Okay,
so
let me ask you
I've got to
this.
say, okay, you go, and then I've got
Jim,
to say.
let Jim go ahead. What are you going to say?
I will actually defend the premise of this movie. It had something to say.
Oh, no question.
It just did it very, very badly, and
It did it very, very badly. Okay.
Yep.
So
I will agree.
one of the things I learned, I did some research about the film. This was going to be a Burt Reynolds vehicle, and he quote unquote got sick and was unable to honor his commitment.
Oh boy.
So I'm
Meaning
wondering
he read
whether
the
it was.
script.
I'm wondering whether it was the script that made him sick, or when he saw the sketches for the costuming.
The only thing that would have made it better
Is Burt Reynolds.
is Sean Connery in a cowboy hat. This makes sense to me. It was
All right,
supposed to be Burt Reynolds.
here's the thing. So here's who we blame. I don't blame Sean Connery. He was done with James Bond. He was looking for stuff to do, whatever. The guy who wrote, produced, and directed this is John Boorman. He did Excalibur.
Yeah.
And he also did Deliverance.
Deliverance.
Right. So
with
I'm picturing
Burt
the whole
Reynolds.
time he's making Deliverance, he's looking at Burt Reynolds thinking, you put that guy in a red loincloth with a Webley, and we could make something.
This is some guy was on some crazy LSD trip and wrote this and thought it was great. That's what happened. I mean, I don't love any of John Boorman's movies. Yeah. I mean,
I like Excalibur quite a bit.
Is heavy-handed. It is
very heavy-handed,
but I love Excalibur.
I like Excalibur.
I think you like the idea of
Deliverance.
Excalibur more than
I think Deliverance for what it was cool. But this is, I'll tell you, if this movie was made in 1969, I would be much more forgiving of it. It's got that acid trip kind of thing to it.
It's very analogous to me to 2001 in a lot of ways.
But it's so late in the cycle for this kind of film.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he really wanted to make this film, and it wasn't until he had some, more commercial success that they let him make this film.
That's
he wanted to
probably
make
true.
in 66.
Right. Because, to tie into what we were talking about, the big movies in the theaters, or what we were talking about before, Towering Inferno, 74.
Yeah.
The disaster movies. I don't even know what else. The 70s romantic Carol Burnett type comedy things. Those were what were big in the movies. This thing had no place in there.
Let me jump in for a minute. Feeling. So Derryl said earlier, $1 million budget, which
$1.5 million.
What I read said $1 million.
Said $1 million. Yeah.
Total box office was $1.8 million. So it was.
I did see that. It
was a flop from all perspectives. This has got a 5.9 on IMDb, which is shocking to me.
Very shocking.
47% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay,
so here's what I found most surprising, because I watched the movie and then I went back and I pulled some stuff together to edit the intro that you heard at the beginning of the show. And if you go back and just watch the first 2 minutes of the movie again, which is just the floating head guy he tells you the whole story in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
But it's also that's like bad theater. The guy holding the black curtain in front of him irregularly in front of his neck and stuff.
It was meant to be. He had the drawn-on mustache and beard.
Every time you saw him, he had the drawn-on mustache. It was like, I really don't know what the hell this thing was.
But my point being, you don't, by the time you get into this movie, I had completely forgotten about the first 2 minutes and anything he might have said. But if you go back and re-listen to that, and it's, it's a lot of it's in the intro. He tells you the whole story of the movie in the first 2 minutes, and then you watch it play out after that, which is an interesting thing to do. I mean, you don't see that very often in movies.
It's kind of classic Greek drama thing, where they the narrator comes out and tells you what's going to happen, and then it happens because the audience won't necessarily understand otherwise. But it's a weird way of presenting it in a 1974 film.
And the other thing is, and we talked about this, and I think this is where this got on our radar when we went through Rolling Stone's top movies of the 70s.
Yeah,
this was number 6, and Star Wars was number 5.
Right,
those guys are obviously
the operative word
doing
there is
acid
stone.
as well.
Okay,
I think it's not. I don't think it's acid. Rolling Stone may have been doing acid, but I think it was mounds of cocaine for this film.
It was something.
That's
But,
what they bought all those
The one good thing that
mirrors
came
for.
out of this is I have my new ringtone, and I'm going to play it for you guys right now.
Oh
my
Yeah, that's so. I had a moment watching this, and Todd knows this because I was texting him about it. As Dave and Todd know, I've been watching Dexter. We've been binge watching Dexter, and we're as of tonight, we're 4 episodes away from the end of it. But in season 8, the final season, they bring in this Dr. Vogel character, who's this older woman who's a weird doctor who specializes in serial killers. Consuela in this movie is the same actress.
Well, it's
as
Charlotte
much younger.
Rampling. She's a very well-known British actress who's been in a
Charlotte
ton of
Rampling.
things, all of which are better than this.
But I would never have recognized her by sight. It was the fact that I saw her name in the credits, and then I looked up to see who she was. Yeah. So, and seeing her, watching those two things literally like in the same day was just kind of mind blowing for me because it's very different.
She's been in a ton of stuff, and some of it very good. She's actually an excellent actress. I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody got into this film.
I don't
wasn't
get
that
any of
pretty
it.
early? Wasn't that really early in her career?
It was
This
early.
was
It
her
it
first
It was
major
very
film.
early. There's no question about that. But
She'd been a model. She was probably cast for.
yeah,
She was a model.
Well, and but the one thing this movie had going for it was all the boobs. I mean,
Yeah, but you want to know something? They were all mediocre at best. There was no like, oh my god, look at those. They were all like, I'm seeing okay.
That was very 70s though. They were all.
it was very 70s. Yeah,
Nothing-
exactly.
nothing-
They were casting Twiggy models for this,
right.
and that was
a lot of freckles too. A lot of freckles in this movie.
You know, the thing is, and I think and it's hard to do it beforehand, but to me, for what I want out of the regular Joe's Disaster Piece Theater, thank you, Jim, for giving us that title, it should be bad, but fun. There was nothing fun in this movie at all. Star Crash, it's got the what's his face in it. It's got Hasselhoff in it.
Got the cowboy
you can make fun of
robot.
Marjo Gortner. There's fun with that piece of shit. There is zero fun in this movie at all.
I mean, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Mr. Science Theater 3000 and its offshoots. One of them riff tracks is they do a lot of stuff, and they ask people to suggest movies. This movie has been number one in their suggestions, and they refuse to do it because it's just not fun.
Yeah.
That's right.
Other than maybe the
I
big
totally
head
agree.
vomiting weapons, other than that, there was no fun.
Wait a minute.
The big head was
The same shot of vomiting weapons used 3 times. It's like, and then we go back.
That floating head felt very Monty Python to me, though.
It's very, very Monty Python.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's funny. We do this kind of thing. I mean, I don't think we even take a second to sort of dissect the plot, or because who cares? I mean, there's nothing to really care about here. I don't know. I don't know what he was. I guess I know what he was doing, but I really don't care. I mean, I guess we could.
My son asked me to explain the movie to him tonight, and I gave him the best I could at an elevator pitch of the plot of this thing. And listening to myself say it back, I said to him, "I just described a better movie to you than the one I watched."
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like I have seen this premise done somewhere else better, but I can't think of where.
To me, there's parts of like Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
Sort of this different society. It did feel
Logan's
like a
Run
little
aspects
little
in there.
Logan's Run, yeah.
Logan's
what
Run.
the Time Machine, where sort of
Yep.
the Eloi are this different bunch of people, and then there's the Savages. There was a little Time Machine in there, I felt, but just
Yeah, and at
not
one
good.
point they referenced a spaceship, and honestly, I don't know what they were talking about. What was this? Where was the spaceship in all of this?
Maybe they were on the spaceship. That's I don't know.
I think they were saying those older people were building spaceships when society was actually functioning and doing more. But
I enjoyed. There was a scene where they were trying to force the guy named Friend into the second level of meditation, and they were all just waving their hands and fingers at him.
oh my god, that was just like
Wait, we do that at work all the time.
It was so bad.
like,
it really was bad.
We
People,
shun you.
don't see this movie.
Well,
Oh my gosh. It's so bad.
there were moments that and lines of dialogue I felt that were thrown in just to make you think. Not that there was a thinking man's movie, but like there's this line when that main guy that was playing Zardoz gets shot finally. He's like, "Success. It was all a joke." What the fuck does that mean?
This was an attempt to be avant-garde, pretentious, trendy, like out of the box, all these things, and it missed on every count.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's just no point of connection here. And I'll tell you, anyone who rates this movie highly is because they don't want to admit that they're not seeing what other people are seeing. Yeah.
They're reading too much into it.
That's what I'm saying.
Giving
it's
it
like,
too much
no,
credit.
it's.
I don't understand it. Therefore, it must be good.
There's deeper hidden meaning. No, he was pulling this out of his ass as he went. Okay. And
as soon as they brought up the Wizard of Oz and that's where the name Zardoz came from.
That is the most clever thing in the entire film. It really is. That should have been the Rosebud moment. It really should have.
Right. It should have.
It should have been. You're right. It should have been at the end.
It needed to be later in the film.
Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Putting it in the middle of the movie. Yeah. But so Roger Ebert's review of this movie, this is the last line in Roger Ebert's review. He says, "This much can be said for sure. It may not make you an apathetic, but it will certainly age you by 2 years."
Yes. I read it. Yep.
And
I'm sorry.
amazingly,
It said it will certainly age you by 2 hours.
By 2 hours.
Yeah.
He gave it a 2.5 out of 4. Ebert did, which I didn't understand. So Barry, what you said about the Rotten Tomatoes rating was right on. It actually made me go and spend some time to try to find the baseline of Rotten Tomatoes because I questioned the rating system. I'm like, how can this be? And I think it goes back to it's an art film and that's inherently subjective.
How many ratings are there? I mean,
critics will put this higher than fans because they'll see different avant-garde artsy kind of things in there.
But even 47 on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, that should be in the teens.
I thought it was a 74. You said
74. No, 47. 47.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, I mean, let's say that's middle of the pack. If people grade on an average scale.
The low teens.
It's full of faux intellectualism.
Sean Connery. Notice.
I don't know. It's just as hell. It's just
the shots of the shots of the things projected onto people that went for 3 minutes too long. Yeah. It was all this kind of stuff that they were like, this is bad 70s theater, community theater stuff that people would pull off and think that they're doing something that was incredibly outside of the box.
Right.
And you're right. And if it had been much less of it, and on the time that they spent inside the glass, the mirrored pyramid and all that, if there had been a lot less of that, it could actually have been cool, but it was just way overused.
I noticed that Sean Connery started out very kind of weak. He was almost, and for his character was, very subservient. And I don't know if it was because I feel like he was like, I'm not going to be in this movie and be this weak guy. And you could tell he was sort of much more in a position of power.
Well, they were controlling him.
Yeah.
And and gradually over time he
well, when he threw the barrel, he somehow showed and then grabbed the girl and threw her down on the haystack or whatever.
I think they were both controlling him, and he was allowing them to believe they had more power over him than they had.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
But it was not clear. It really was not clear.
It was not good.
Totally.
I don't think anybody can recommend this movie.
At one point was the vastly superior John Saxon pilot.
Yes. Where he's sort of the dink or whatever.
Yeah, he's the dink.
Him.
Yeah, where he's
that's exactly what I thought of.
It was a similar kind of thing, and it was
that's freaking Captain America: The Winter Soldier compared to this piece of crap.
It kind of is. I gotta say, I can't think of a redeeming thing in this film. I truly can't.
Nothing. Unless you like hairy chests. Because there's plenty of that.
So much.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of.
Hey
He
guys,
is in this
I'm
freaking
working on my
loincloth.
Zardoz costume. Okay,
Lots.
because I've already got the key prop. Okay,
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and now I just need to take down my curtains and start growing out that stash in the ponytail. And by the time we're doing cons again, I'm gonna rock it.
He wore that freaking thing the whole time. I mean,
Pretty
it was
much
like
the whole time.
95% he's wearing this loincloth.
I
It
almost
wasn't
wonder,
until
like,
the end where they gave him like a proper.
well, that's what
vest
I almost
thing
wondered
to
whether
wear.
they put him in the costume at the end because he just one day showed up and said, because there was no clear transition to that. He was just fucking, I'm not putting that on again.
Yeah.
How about the ridiculous, pretentious art school ending?
Oh my God.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
brilliant. That was brilliant. So
Wow.
She went from like one scene to the next, literally not pregnant at all, to 9 months pregnant, and then
It's just so bad. I mean, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is.
I think
I have to-
it's the worst movie I've ever forced myself to watch all the way. This is a movie, if I had started it, I would have probably bailed 10 minutes in.
I have to redo my scale now. I have to push Willow up higher to make room for how
I
bad
did
this
turn
is below
off
it.
the second Suicide Squad in the middle, even after I paid for it. So it's still.
Oh, you
gotta
mean
be
the
better
Harley
than
Quinn
this.
one?
Yeah.
oh God, I saw it in a theater.
I couldn't. We couldn't sit. Pam and I were watching. We couldn't sit through it.
I
It was
watched
so
the
bad.
whole thing. I paid for it. I was watching
Yeah.
it. This, thank God, we did not have to pay for.
I did pay for it. I couldn't get that thing
I
to
had-
work. I paid
Yeah.
$3 for it.
This
I'm
was.
sorry.
That's fine.
I'll buy you a beer
I would
next time I
say,
see you.
I think that's all of our challenge for next time. Next time we
Yeah.
do this, we need to try to come up with a worse film. Not watch it, but come up with an example. At this moment, I am challenged. I cannot think of. God, I really cannot
Something
think
that
of a
I've
film.
seen that's worse than this.
There's got to be something.
I've seen a lot of bad movies.
Oh, me too.
And this is maybe the one that's been the least fun. Most
Yeah.
bad movies, you can say, "Oh, this is hilarious."
Right. There's
You
something
guys,
redeeming about it, whether
Dave,
it's
you and Jim
they're
nailed it.
used-
There is not an
they're
element
using-
that
yeah.
there's not an element of joy in this entire
There's no
film.
joy.
I
Yeah,
can
no
laugh
joy.
at crappy 50s monster movies that have rubber octopuses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
But-
Yep.
right. And
This-
I would argue that this was as convoluted a movie as Barbarella, but that had way much more fun in it.
Yes, absolutely.
But Barry, that was a film I thought of watching this. I felt like he had watched Barbarella and said, "Oh, I need to do something like this that's high concept." And
You're
then
6 years too late.
Right.
No, but that's what I'm saying, but
Barbarella
then wasn't able
this
to for 5
ridiculous
years.
movie that was at least fun to watch. And
Did
this
you
had
watch
more
it?
boobs
Did
in it than Barbarella
anyone's
did.
wives
And
watch
it was
it?
less
'Cause
redeeming.
the least you have a half-naked Jane Fonda in her prime, and maybe you have a half-naked Sean Connery for the ladies. Maybe this is the female.
No. That Sean Connery,
no, he's
No.
a little bit overweight at this point.
He looked all right.
Way
No,
too,
hey, just
way too
hey,
hairy.
just at the
Way
point.
too
70s
hairy.
porn Sean Connery in this movie.
Okay,
I mean, come on.
just watching him climb out of the cornmeal. Okay, I was like, at this moment, he's got to be thinking he made a bad decision. Okay,
and
when he's inside the
even-
skull and he's climbing out of that big pile of cornmeal, it's like,
He should have
But even in that
go
first
back-
sequence
back
when they're in
into
the head, when they're in the
cornmeal.
giant floating head, and he comes out of the cornmeal, all the people are in plastic bags. There's no explanation for why. They were. None of it made any sense.
Barry, would you want cornmeal all over you? It's like, yeah. The
No,
other
no,
thing
yeah.
is okay. The eyes. I don't know if you picked up, but like the eyes and the mouth, okay, were pretty much the full width of the skull, except when you were inside, and they were about the two eyes were like 10 feet apart, and the skull was about 70 feet wide. So it's like a TARDIS. Okay,
Yes.
Oh, sure, of course it was.
and yeah, and
I wrote down another line of dialogue because there was a time after he had been injured, a woman says to him, "We will teach you, and you will give us your seed."
Yes.
Right.
And of course, she was topless when she said, "What the?" None of this made any sense.
You've never
woman
had a
who
woman say
healed him,
that
the-
to you?
I punched him in the face when men say that to me.
Yeah.
But
Since I understood the movie, which depresses me completely, they were kind of rebels, and they wanted to go off and start.
That's right.
A new society. That's really what this whole movie was they'd made this great society that everybody lived forever, and it was all peaceful and happy, and they exploited these people over here to make it so, but it was empty, and they needed to end it and start over. And that's Sean Connery's character was the beginning.
Exactly. It is the false utopia thing. Okay, everyone has the ideal, it's not realized, and then you're looking for the out. And he was the out. They brought him in there to end this thing because they couldn't themselves. But they
could have just asked him to do that. Instead, they had to somehow make him read every book in the library and then make him read The Wizard of Oz to figure out that this was all like none of that.
You're trying to make sense of the senseless.
Yeah, don't
don't go there. It's not going to happen.
There's a plot you can follow through, but the rest of it makes no sense.
And there wouldn't have been a movie.
Brutal, but yet he was brutal, but he read every book in the library.
Yeah.
Well, that was, like I said, he was kind of set up to do what he did.
Yeah.
And, I'm
the vaudevillian guy with the drawn-on mustache and
Arthur
lines on his chin. Arthur Frayne. Yes.
Yeah.
Arthur Frayne.
I just don't get it. Oh, bad.
Anyway. So I will say, one of the things that offends me most about this film is probably my favorite piece of classical music is Beethoven, the second movement of Beethoven's Seventh Symphony. Okay. I just feel like this was just like, I'm like, no, any music but this, please don't do this to it. I don't want this encoded into my thinking of this particular piece of music. It's used in a lot of things. It was actually used in one of the Peanuts cartoons at one point. And I was like, oh God, this is horrible. And now it's kind of there. I will say I went on YouTube afterwards to listen to it, and somebody made several years ago, a 6-minute clip of the second movement of the Seventh Symphony set to a montage of images of Scarlett Johansson. And I feel that I watched this maybe 60 or 70 times.
That'll be a palate cleanser.
The image of Sean Connery in the red loincloth and just purge that from my mind. But it's going to take at least that.
I just thought of one redeeming thing about this movie. They put all the credits at the beginning. So when the movie ended, it was over. It was just over.
Because you didn't expect people to finish the film, Barry. Okay. There's no expectation that people are going to make it to the skeletons.
Yeah. You didn't have to watch credits at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
You could just leave.
I did look this up on IMDb, and one of the actresses who played Star, I don't remember which character this was, but Colm Meaney's wife, the greatest engineer in Starfleet history.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, his wife in real life or in the show?
His wife in real life.
Keiko O'Brien was in this?
No. I don't know if Star was the woman in the water who would speak or the one who touched Connery at the.
I don't know. Yeah, this was
maybe she was the topless girl on
the
horse, because there was a topless girl on a horse at one point too.
There's a lot of topless girls everywhere.
I think that's the one who spoke in the water.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is I'm assuming a 5 thumbs down, everybody.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Or 10 thumbs down.
I would say I would go for 6 thumbs down.
Yeah.
I think we need to get Barry's mannequin and just kind of wheel it in.
Oh, if I had known, I would have go grab the arm off the mannequin. We could have done that.
So horrible stuff. Okay, let's try to cleanse our own palates with some What's in the Box. Jim.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
In my ongoing quest to acquire things from my 70s childhood.
Great.
Picked up this.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
A cell from Star Trek, the animated series. And can't you feel the sexual tension?
I totally feel the sexual tension.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, Sean has one of those, too. He's got
Uhura. Yeah.
And where was that purchase made? On eBay or?
Yeah. I got it on eBay. The guy
is that a cell and then a separate background behind it?
Yes, it is.
I need one of those. I
need one of those.
Background is painted or a copy, but
Are they expensive, Jim?
the relative. I mean, $200.
That's worth it. That's a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
That's cool. Nice.
That's
See,
awesome.
Jim, get us a good picture. Get us a good picture of that.
I will.
The power of the what's in the box is if it makes other people on the show buy it.
Oh my god!
Try to buy
I got a message from the seller saying he's just put up some more on eBay. So.
Oh, cool.
Todd, wait till
job.
after the show is over.
Yeah.
He's already leaving.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Todd's getting his.
Todd just stood up so that he could do eBay and podcast.
I'm getting in the
at the same
position
time.
for my what's in the box.
When he's,
Well,
when
it's
he's doing like this, he's gonna get on the keyboard.
Yep.
So Jim, back in the day, and I'm probably talking 20 years ago, when I was more active in the animation cell market, I was buying a lot of cells. Those were actually pretty inexpensive because I think people like overlook Star Trek. I think in time, fans of the brand can jump into them and buy them up.
The case. That's
So the price has gone up
Oh yeah.
for sure. But nice piece.
Yeah, I like that.
I need to get it framed and hung on the wall. So.
Todd, what do we need an animation cell from?
Oh, the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, the walking scene. We need to have that.
And we need to we could do like the background on like rollers.
Yeah.
Just have the cell go up and down and oh my god. Dave and I tried watching the animated Planet of the Apes one time and it was just like, what the hell?
I did my part. I bought it, but I have yet to ever watch it.
It did not. Oh boy.
So who bought
hold
it?
up.
You, Todd, or me?
You bought it.
Do I still have it? It's on
You must have it somewhere.
VHS.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I have it on
VHS.
DVD.
I think it was.
I
It
have
must
it
have
on
been
Blu-ray.
VHS. This was at the old house, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
Man,
Okay,
It must be
uh,
bad if Tops didn't do cards for it, which they didn't.
Derryl, what's in the box?
So when I was a kid, I loved playing Army, big time, World War II especially, and scenes from like Combat, the TV show. And I remembered just like a year ago, I kind of woke up and said, "Wait a minute! I had a role play gun that I played Army with," and so I've been looking for it on eBay. And this is it. It was made by Mattel.
Hold it up so we can't see it.
Yeah. I'll back up here. It's a Thompson machine gun.
Oh wow!
And it's called a genuine Mattel Gorilla Gun. And this one, so there's been several on eBay, but they're always broken. Like it fired real caps, and the cap door is broken, and the tip is often broken, and the sight. This one is perfect. It has a tight strap. It's got the sticker, so I paid a premium for this, but it's like perfect. And
is the spring still good in it?
The spring is still good in it. I could pull it back and it'll fire a simulated burst.
I actually went out and refound mine in an antique store about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
This is the Marks. This is the Marks Tommy gun.
Oh, very nice.
Barry, I see
what kind of caps did it shoot? The roll
Darryl,
caps?
These didn't shoot any caps.
Yeah.
Just made
I
noise.
see those at yard sales, or I did for years. The tip is always broken off.
Right.
And the bolt, the spring's bad, and the bolt just flops.
Right.
That's awesome.
So this one, I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that,
Hear that?
thing as a kid. Yep.
Oh, this takes you
I
back.
had one that had a red plastic thing in the front, and when you shot it, it went in and out as if it's simulating fire.
The fire thing.
I don't know who made that.
That sounds like a one of the Johnny 7 guns or something like that. But anyway, I used to play this with a there was like a monkey patrol helmet with a visor that I used to have.
Yep.
And that was my warplane getup. So I used to play real war and then G.I. Joe War. So
Yeah.
those are my
It's
favorites.
amazing what a difference like 40 or 50 years makes.
When I was a kid, we used those guns to play Planet of the Apes. And
nice.
So somebody'd be the designated astronaut. We'd chase them around, and it was good times.
Good times.
Oh, that's so funny. That's great.
So
you
who
used
else?
to run around with a realistic-looking gun, and no one shot you in real life.
That's right.
Jesus.
That's right.
Todd, you're standing. What's in the box?
Okay, so I got something to be my what's in the box, and kind of disappointed with it, and I will probably use it on another show, and I'll talk about it more, but I'll explain why. But this is a pretty basic thing that because my podcasting computer sits on a round table in the middle of my room, I got a turntable for this thing. So now I can go pretty much anywhere in the room with the and still be podcasting.
Without
Yeah,
your
except the
microphone,
mic
though.
doesn't move with you, so we can't hear anything you say.
But anyways,
It's good that your computer moves, but the mic doesn't move, Todd. You should realize that we
I
can
know.
barely hear you.
I can keep going like that. I can move it around
Okay.
like that. But anyways, so this means absolutely nothing to anybody watching, but I'll take a picture of it. It's like $20 on Amazon, but it works really well. And so anyways.
Okay.
But
That's
it's
fine.
covering up that awesome Star Wars chessboard section of your desk, no?
Yeah. And but it actually it's black and it fits in really, really nicely with the three-dimensional with the chessboard thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
I'll allow it.
Sweet.
Interesting. Barry, what's in the box?
So I'm going to do a double. I got two things, and actually, Derryl and I had been texting a little bit about this, but there's an artist named Russell Walks who had been selling on one of the Star Wars Facebook groups. He had been asked by a family member who, a distant relative, passed away, had a huge Star Wars collection from when he was a kid. He bought all these figures, opened them, and put them straight into storage. Never played with them. Apparently, it was the kid had some type of, I don't know if he was autistic or something, but enjoyed opening the figures and putting them away, and he was an army builder. When he passed away, they had tons of figures, and so I got 4 of the most beautiful Stormtrooper figures
Wow.
from the 70s you've ever seen.
Wow.
And then he had a second auction where it was Snowtrooper, an AT-AT driver, and a biker scout. So I ended up getting those from him. And another Stormtrooper that I've actually got on display already. But he was selling them at what I thought were really good prices, and they are like, never touched. For white figures, they're completely white. They haven't yellowed or aged at all.
So rare, Barry. Oh wow.
I know. When I saw that he was selling them and the prices, and he had a lot of them. He probably had like 5 lots of 4 Stormtroopers and like 10 lots of these various other Imperials together. So I got a really good deal on them, and I think he's finally out of them. I think he finally posted that he doesn't have any more. So that's one thing I got. The other thing I got, which is kind of really cool and was not expensive, but it's a guy on Facebook who calls himself Cardboard Galaxy, and he makes all these like pop-up displays and stuff out of cardboard for Star Wars and other figures. Yeah. I bought this because this is a display for the Bounty Hunter figures, the vintage Kenner Bounty Hunter figures. It's the scene from the Star Destroyer. And all it is it's a folded piece of cardboard that it's really well printed. It's high quality printing. He's got 2 little Velcro pieces so that you can angle the back of it, and then it's just like a little cardboard folded stand that it just sits on top of. I think it was $20 or $25.
That's clever.
Maybe.
I wonder if that's the same.
Cool.
I wonder if
Barry,
that's the same guy, Barry.
Like
This is gonna go into my vintage Star Wars figure display case once I make a little bit more room in there. I've got to get 1 or 2 things out of there to make a little more room, but I don't know. This was cool because there is a Star Destroyer playset thing that is not a great toy, really. It might be a cool toy. It's a hard toy to display, I think. So this is a much better way to display the Bounty Hunters and maybe a couple of Imperials in front of it. So
yeah, that's great.
I'll take pictures of it.
It's funny, Barry, when you talk about those Star Wars figures. There's a movie called, I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, called Comic Book Villains. Anyone ever seen this?
No.
So basically, there is this mythological stash of comic books from the 30s, 40s that this widow has, that where the guy basically did nothing but buy them, take them home, and put them in wax paper, with wax paper in between. And so the entire thing becomes about these 2 competing comic book shop owners trying to get their hands on this collection of comic books. But it's that same thing. It's for everything somebody collects. Somebody out there has this absolutely perfect, pristine, collection.
Yeah.
That is like.
And I had been messaging back and forth with Russell, just saying like, how did you get so many? And he told me in the text messages, he told me the whole story about the relative, and that the joy that the kid had wasn't really in playing with them, but was opening them and putting them away. So back then when they were $1.99 a piece, the family just bought him a ton of them, and he just kept opening them and storing them away, and they've been in storage for 40 something years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, the joints are completely stiff. They're all original weapons. You can't find stuff like that much anymore. Certainly not at the prices I was paying for them. I'm actually thinking about sending a few of these to AFA to get them graded, because they're that good.
That's awesome, Barry.
Barry, remember the Joe show with the guy that had all the stuff, all the Joe stuff?
Yes, I do.
You and I got a bunch of it where it was just, and it wasn't like super rare stuff. It was just right off the card, loose.
The nicest, cleanest, crispest stuff we'd ever seen.
And I've got, like I said, I've got like jumpsuits from those sets and stuff like that, where it was just like all they did was remove them from the card, left the threads in them, little threads that tied them down in some cases, and that was it. It was just
somebody opened them, never played with them. And
never played with them.
30, 40 years later, brought them to that show where you and I picked through it and bought it all.
So
Interesting.
All right, Dave, what's in the box?
Okay, so we've mentioned this, the Star Wars / autograph universe club that Darren does a lot of signings, and they did one with James Caan, and I had him sign this
nice.
Rollerball picture.
Wow, cool.
I know Rollerball came up last week, and it's not in my top 10 movies, but it's just a fun movie if you like death and destruction. But so he did a signing, and this is a better image. I love Thief, which has James Caan.
Yeah.
Isn't a lot of great photos from that, but we don't talk prices. He only charged $80.
That's
great.
James
Caan is like the guy,
what year was Rollerball?
75.
Okay, so think about that. Okay, it was a little avant-garde. It was a little, they played with the future and all that kind of stuff like that. But that was 75 versus what we just watched.
Yeah, exactly.
I still don't understand.
It's worlds away. And the funny
I have to admit, I've never seen Rollerball. I'm aware of it. I know about it. I've never seen it.
It's not great, and it is there is a little weirdness to it, but I mean, it's totally. You can follow the story. You get what's going on. You understand the universe they're in. There's a lot of good action in it. It's worth seeing.
It is worth seeing. I probably haven't watched it in 15 years, but
there are a lot of autograph signings popping up.
Maud Adams, right?
Maud Adams.
Yep.
I think that now some of the celebrities that were making a living, and even some that weren't. I mean, clearly James Caan wasn't making a living doing the con circuit, but
a lot of people are, though.
A lot of people were, and I think more and more of these signings are starting to happen again. I think they're just being handled privately. And I sent Dave a link yesterday. There's a website that's got a deal where you can get autographs from 100 different B-level celebrities, and every autograph comes with a video shout-out. So they will actually film a little video of themselves and send it to you as part of the package deal. Like these guys are starting to realize that there's no end in sight to this, and they've got to figure out a way to replace that revenue. So
I only got through the first page, but I didn't see anyone I actually wanted. I don't know.
No, I didn't either. I mean, I was really looking to see if there was anybody that would be worth getting an autograph just to get the shout out for the show. And I didn't even see anybody other than people we've already had on the show, like Billy Zabka was on the list, and but Martin.
You know what's weird about this is they actually offered photos that you could have signed or you could do a send in. None of the photos they had were any good. So I didn't know. I was scrambling to go online to see where I could buy a photo from, like all poster, and I didn't have enough time. I actually went and downloaded this and printed it at CVS.
Oh wow! Sent it in.
Yeah, and then sent it in because and it came. Printing was fine. It came out okay. So that's what's in the box. Okie dokie. Does anyone have any last thoughts? You don't have to have prepared anything, but anybody?
If you want to watch a bad movie that's fun, you have Amazon Prime. Look up the riff tracks of a thing called Birdemic Shock and Terror. It is a truly bad movie where they spent like $8 on CGI of birds, but it's awful. But the guys do a brilliant job of eviscerating it. Definitely worth the watch if you've got Amazon Prime.
There you go.
Cool.
My kids talk about Birdemic all the time, but I don't think they've seen the riff tracks version of it. So
they should see the riff tracks version of it.
Oh, bird. Oh, I get. Now I didn't know. Now I get a Birdemic. Okay.
Like Pandemic, only with birds.
Yeah,
Yes.
Now I get it.
Badly CGI birds.
Cool.
All right.
Derryl, what are you doing? What are you up to?
Just getting ready to put the finishing touches on a special database I'm making potentially for a future book project. And then
is there any update on the Kickstarter book project or anything?
Well,
to share,
yeah. So my partner Rich put out an update I think just 2 days ago, and he said the end is in sight. He's having to hand color correct the thousands of images that are in this book because of some problems we've had with the printer, and it's going to be worth the wait. So very soon,
oh, good.
We'll have we'll have an official date for it. So it's been a long wait, over a year. So thanks for the patience, everyone.
Things are worth the wait.
That's right.
Look how long we waited to watch Zardoz. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's right. I waited almost 53 years.
Yep.
Well, no, you only waited.
Well, my whole life.
26.
Yeah.
This show drops on my
46
birthday.
years. 46
When this
years.
show goes live, I will turn 53.
That is correct. Happy birthday, Friday.
Thank you.
Barry's birthday.
Yay,
Happy birthday.
Barry.
Yay.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. All right. Next week, I know what we're doing next week. Next week, we're going to talk mid-season. I don't know. This much through the season, Mandalorian, special guest Tom Spina. And we'll get into that. Someone's going to have to explain who the hell Bo-Katan is to me, and then we'll go for it. No, I'm joking. I do need a little background.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
we'll
Maybe
get
this
you there.
weekend we'll get you there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But with that, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Derryl.
Our
And
pleasure.
thanks for listening.
You got it, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Everyone says it. Okay. Awesome.
And we're out.
Zardoz speaks to you, his chosen ones. You have been raised up from brutality to kill the brutals who multiply, and are legion. To this end, Zardoz, your god, gave you the gift of the gun. The gun is good. The gun is good! The penis is evil. The penis shoots seeds and makes new life to poison the earth with a plague of men, as once it was. But the gun shoots death and purifies the earth of the filth of brutals. Go forth and kill. Zardoz has spoken.